Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are doing the anti-TBR tag. So today I am just feeling meh because it's that time of month, and I decided to see if there was a tag for this. And there is, which is great. But basically I was like, you know what? I haven't talked about like things I don't want to read in a while. So I looked up the anti-TBR tag, and guess what? There was one on here. It is created by Nicole and her books. I'll leave it linked down below for you. But I was very excited to see that there was questions for this already because I didn't exactly know where to start. Like there are things in the back of my mind where like if I see them or hear about them, like I'm just like, no. Never going to read that. But we have, I think, like 8 questions here that are really just gonna bring up those sort of things that I'm never gonna read. And so we're gonna jump right on in. The first question is a popular book everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. The first thing that pops up in my mind for this, like every single time I think about it, is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. This is a book that is absolutely massive, which I think is part of the reason where I'm like, I don't know if I want to read this, but like the actual thing that pushes it into it is people say it is like devastating. It is like a book to make you cry, and that is like all it is. I know some people absolutely love this. I think on Goodreads, I pulled it up here, there are 882,000 ratings. So not as much as like some books could have, but that is a ton of people. And it has an average of 4.29 stars. Like a lot of people absolutely love this one. But it's like 720 pages, and I don't want to read a book that is only here to make their characters suffer and have us cry. Like it just like there's nothing about it that appeals to me, even though I know some people absolutely love it. So this is like one of those ones where like anytime I see it, I'm just like, nope. Number 2, a classic book or author you don't have an interest in reading. Almost any classic, I'm gonna say nope. I do not personally really enjoy the writing style that was back in the day. So like the author that comes to mind first is like Jane Austen. That sort of time period, that sort of writing, those sort of storylines, not interested. I've never even been interested in like watching Pride and Prejudice. So I am just, no. None of that for me, thank you. And it is really the writing style. There's something about that which I cannot usually wrap my brain around very much. Like if I was going to absolutely have to do it, could maybe do like an audiobook, but in general, just no. Number 3, an author whose books you have no interest in reading. Colleen Hoover. I have never been interested in Colleen Hoover. None of the books ever have sounded even remotely intriguing. And I know some of them have problematic elements in the books in general anyway. But also I think, isn't her like new book been recently announced? And the summary for it is basically like a self-insert for her getting mad at people that called her out on bad author behavior. Like, oh my gosh, really? Just, I would never have picked her up before, but I'm definitely not picking her up now. Okay, 3.2. Because I guess there is a part 2 to this question. A problematic author whose books you have no interest in reading. I wasn't sure if I wanted to just pick like a problematic author that I've just like never been interested in even before that. So what I decided to do is a problematic author who became problematic, you know, prior to this year, but this is the year that we found out about it. And even though I have read stuff from this author before, I am never going to read them again. And that is going to be Neil Gaiman. You can definitely look up what happened with this previously, but it's very much sexual harassment, sexual assault territory, and I'm just no longer interested in reading anything by him. Number 4, an author you have read a couple of books from and decided their books are not for you. So this one I'm going with Gabrielle Zevin. I read a couple different YA books back like near the end of high school, I want to say. I read Elsewhere, which I remember really enjoying, and I remember Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac, which I also remember really enjoying. I tried to reread that one a few years ago, and it did not hold up to what I remember from that one at all. I think I ended up giving it like a 3-star. Then I tried to read The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry last year. DNF'd that one. The writing style was just really not for me. Very sort of bland, to the point, nothing holding my interest personally. I also watched the adaptation of that, not any better. Let me just say that. And so because of that, I've just never really been intrigued by any of her other work. Like, she is somebody that I read previously and I thought I enjoyed, but then like when I went back and revisited it, not really. And I think just the writing style and stuff is just not my thing. So even though I know people were really loving Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, I've just never really been intrigued. This is one that I almost picked for option number 1, a very popular book, because it does have over 1 million ratings on Goodreads. But overall as a whole author, I think I'm just not jiving with the writing style and the stories that she tells. So that's why I put her here. Number 5, a genre you have no interest in, or a genre that you tried to get into and couldn't. So for this one, I'm gonna go with historical fiction. So again, classics I do feel is like a different thing. I don't really jive with classics either, but in general, historical fiction, things that are set in those times. I think partly because some of those stories do try to have that writing style and dialogue system that like I don't like, but this also extends to like things that are more fantasy based, like steampunk. I've tried some steampunk things that again I just did not really enjoy. There have been some fantasy, like historical fantasy setting type of things that I have liked, so I know that there's going to be some exceptions to like this rule, but out of all the different genres that we have available, if it's going to be more historical, more steampunky, I'm less likely to pick it up and try it because I know that I've had issues with those things in the past. Number 6, a book you have bought but will never read. So I know this is probably not exactly the intention of this question, but I have some books here. There's actually 6 of them that I bought when I went to China with my husband back in 2016, I want to say it was. And we went to one of their bookstores, and the Chinese dollar compared to the US dollar is very cheap. So the fact that I was able to get these, it was very, very cheap. These are written in Chinese. There is no English adaptation of these, but I really, really liked the style of them, and like I absolutely wish, based on like what my husband told me like the story is supposed to be about, which it's now been so many years I don't remember, I like the style of these. Like I wish I could read them. I can't. But they're just so pretty, and they were not expensive like in the grand scheme of things. So these are things that I will never read because I literally physically can't. But like it has like illustrations and things too. Like I wish I could. But so for an anti-TBR, these are things that I own, that I did buy with my own money, that I will never actually read. Number 7, a series you have no interest in reading, or a series you started and DNF'd. I've DNF'd quite a few different series, definitely have. But one thing that came to mind for this is Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. So this is a series that I was sort of intrigued by when I first saw like the new covers, but I have since heard some potentially problematic elements about it. Not only that, but the way that the humor does not sound like my thing. It sounds like stuff that I would like hear about and be like, ugh, are we really gonna do that? Because I've tried to read some books that are more humorous in tone, more fantasy humor, like How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. I tried that one and ended up DNFing it because the type of humor in there, it is humor, it's just not my thing. And I feel like Dungeon Crawler Carl is going to be in that sort of vein. I've heard the first book is not as good as later books in the series. I do not want to try something that I'm not probably gonna like just to continue the series. But the part of the reason I picked this is this author lives in Washington. And so I am constantly seeing bookstores, both Barnes & Noble and indies and things like that, have him come into the store and sign a bunch of books, and they're always promoting this series because it's very, very popular. I completely understand that. But also this author lives here, and so like I feel like I can't escape it. And so for that reason, because I'm not really interested in it, like I feel like this is not for me. I can't escape it though. All the stores keep promoting this series, and I'm just like, I don't really want to read it, but I can't escape. And then finally, we have one more question. It is a new release you have no interest in reading. For this one, it took me a little while to find something that I wanted to talk about, just because like there's a bunch of new releases, but it felt like there's things that I'm interested in and things that I'm not interested in, and I didn't know exactly like how to just like pick one. Like, of course, if there is a literary fiction, which I don't usually read that genre, or historical or things like that, I'm not gonna really be interested in the book. But the one that I decided to go with is A Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Mostly because I've just never really been interested in Emily Henry. I think I read maybe just one of her young adult books before she moved into the adult area, and I was just okay with it. And then ever since then, these books have been on like the best romances for the Goodreads Awards and things like that, and I have just never been interested in them. I actually don't know how much romance are in a lot of these ones, because I feel like I see her a lot more in like a literary fiction sphere in my idea, but like I said, a lot of these books show up in the romance area, and I've never wanted to read them. So this was a very, very big release. I think as it came out around April of this year, it currently has over 500,000 ratings on Goodreads already. It is always one of those things that is like super, super popular. It wins a lot of the Goodreads Awards, all of her books basically, just because tons of people pick them up. It is shelved as romance, and I've never been interested. So this is one of those things where it is a new release. I feel like a lot of people will read this or have read this, and I just not intrigued. And so that is actually it for me today. Again, like I said, I've just not been feeling the best lately because of that time of month. Like nothing crazy. We're not sick or anything. I'm just bleh. So I did decide maybe an anti-TBR would be a good fun thing for me at least to do. Let me know what is your maybe like biggest anti-TBR book. Like, is there a book that you see out and about on BookTube and you're always like, I will never read that? Because like I said here, there are a few. I see them and I'm just like, I will never ever pick that up. And so that is going to be it for me today. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so I will see you then. Bye!